Well, the arrow is pointing up in Minneapolis. The Gophers coming off a 25-win season that ended with a WBIT championship just a year after reaching the WNIT title game. Head coach Don Plitzuweit turns her entire core, including Mara Braun, whose year was cut short a season ago. We'll hear from her and Amaya Battle in just a moment. But first, let's begin with the head coach of the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Coach Plitzuweit, thank you so much for making some time. How is your media day going so far?
Yeah, so far so good.
So far so good. All right.
I heard this was a tough.
I was just going to say, now you're sitting next to Elise Woodward.
Pressure on.
So
I'm ready.
All bets are
There's
up.
There's a reason why you're furthest away from the coaches.
Only three coaches have left crying from the set so far. So
it's allergy. It's allergy season.
You look at who you return. I mean, what a luxury to have so many core members back. And I think about what you guys were able to do last year to end the season. Very few teams get to end the season feeling good and carrying off some hardware from the court. What did that run do for you guys?
Well, it gave us 5 more games to prep and practice for. But I think along that path, we learned so much about how we need to do things better, more consistently. We shot the ball better in the last 4 games of the season in the WBIT. We shot it at a 39% clip from the arc, where before that we were below that, about 10 percentage points in the Big Ten season. And so why? And then we look at what did that process look like? And so how do we repeat that process that we can now apply to this year and continue to get better?
Coach, I love your background. You just talk about process, and your background was you didn't think you were going to be a coach, and you went a totally different direction. Tell people about your degree and what you thought you were going to be doing when you were 22 years old.
Well, when I was 22, I thought I was going to be a high school teacher, either a math teacher or a biology teacher. And so I love the analytics of the game. I love to use the analytics to help teach our players about the game because that's a lot of fun for me. You know, and there is a process when you're looking at equations in either math or biology, so basketball shouldn't be that much different. And then coaching, I did think I was going to be a coach, but I thought I'd be a 6th grade coach. Very specific, I know. But then now this happened, and about 3 decades later, still loving it and having a great time.
You've never had a losing season in your career. That's incredible, the consistency for you to do that. What do you point to as the reason why you can make the most out of every roster year after year?
Well, I think it comes down to our pillars, really, and our building blocks within our program of toughness. And people think toughness is just defense and defensive grit and get on the floor and take charges. And while it is those things, it's also doing little things really well. We qualify that in our toughness category, and for us that means you're continuing to get better all the time. Then there's the togetherness piece. Figure if you're going to be tough and you're going to play together, good things can happen. And then the third component is find a way. And a lot of times, especially, and we've had this the last 2 seasons at Minnesota with injuries hitting us at a very high level, then we've had to find a way to do things maybe differently than we have in the past.
I think what you just said about the togetherness is, I think, something to, and you've said that this is special sauce of this group right now. It already feels like is the togetherness. There's been a lot of talented teams that haven't gone on to do what they've wanted to do because they are missing that element. So how do you as a coach, and Elise talks about what you've been able to do at all these different stops, you never had a losing season, how do you build togetherness within a squad?
Well, we're very specific about how we do it on the basketball court, how tightly we huddle, and if we don't huddle tightly enough, we go practice it again, to how we encourage each other and what that looks like, and writing notes to each other and building each other up on the court. But then we're also very, very intentional in doing it together off the court, whether that's lake days and putting them on the inner tubes or letting them fish or whatever the case is, or through all of our community service activities together, but book studies that we do together. So it's very, very important to us. We don't just hope that it happens. You know, we certainly are very specific in the type of young ladies that we recruit, but at the same time, we want them to continue to grow that. And this group has that at a very, very high level. They trust each other. They love each other. They trust each other. And because of that, they can now hold each other accountable, which I think people think that that's a negative thing. But the reality is you've got to trust each other in the game. And when you can say communicate all you want, but sometimes you just have to kind of know this player is going to go make a play at this point in time, so I've got to be prepared to back her up in a different way.
You took Minnesota to the top 25 last year, and that was despite missing Mara Braun. And she played 5 games for you and was putting up great numbers, and then all of a sudden you lose one of your best scorers, but you still had such a successful season. She's back.
Yes!
Woo! That's all I got to say. Take it away, Coach, because she is such a difference maker for you. Like, you go from being a good team to now what with Mara back?
Well, with Mara, I think what this team now has a challenge to do is to figure out how to play together, because we have a lot of players who have played in different ways and maybe played a lot of minutes and now can play harder in shorter spurts. So I thought last year we had games where we had very good minutes. we just couldn't sustain those minutes long enough. Our consistency wasn't where it needed to be, but we had some young ladies that were playing an awful lot of minutes. And so now we have, and I think for us, it's not just players returning, but the players that have returned for us have gotten significantly better. Their skill has really grown, their understanding has grown, and they're continuing to play harder and more together.
Well, and Amaya Battle, one of the other
Right.
player that you brought here today, where have you seen her progress?
Well, Amaya Battle is someone who definitely, you talk about togetherness and you talk about fun. That's what this team has. And Amaya is a very, very key component in bringing that onto the court at all times. I think she plays with great, great joy and energy. At the same time, I think she is someone that we can now use this year in different ways. So in the past, she's had to have the ball in her hands a lot and handle it a lot, where sometimes when you get it off a pass, you can attack in a totally different way. And so this year, I think we have the flexibility to use her. We learned a little bit of that in the WBIT. Really, in our home game against Gonzaga, she had to really defend inside. We're like, well, that didn't work, that's Amaya. And all of a sudden, I was like, well, that's a really good strategy. We should try that more often. And so it allows us to play her this year, I think, in a little different capacity than we have in the past.
Well, Coach, I just want to say there are countless sixth graders out there who are not as good at math because of the decision that you took, but there are a lot of amazing young women who have gotten to develop because of the path that you chose.
Well,
So
thank you. I appreciate that.
it's great to visit with you and look forward to watching the Golden Gophers this year.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time as we take a look at some